Hello everyone, day 19, lesson 19, and we're getting closer and closer to that complete app. And once it's done, it's going to be quite an achievement for you, especially if you've never done any coding before or you've done some very, very basic coding. And I think there's nothing better for kids than coding for this specific reason. Number one, it's challenging and it makes you think. It really, really makes you think. And the second thing is it really tests your patience. I mean, you've got that bug and you're going through your code over and over again and trying to fix it. And third thing is when it works, that fulfillment and that satisfaction you feel is incomparable. In fact, somebody messaged me yesterday saying the exact same thing, that it's challenging, but when I make it work, I have this light bulb moment, and it really excites me. So that's why I recommend coding. In fact, I'll go to the extent of saying that coding is the maths of tomorrow. If I had it my way, coding would largely replace maths at school. So just on the note of having difficulties in your code, I just want to remind you, we've got a forum now on our website, www.itvarsity.org. At the top menu, you'll see there's a link there that says Coding Challenge. That will take you to the page of this tutorial where all the videos are listed, and you can go and click on the link that leads to the forum, and please ask away, ask your questions there. Don't be stuck with something and let it demotivate you. Try to fix it. If it doesn't, we are here for you. We are here to ask your question. The other thing is, people ask me why I don't send out the daily links on WhatsApp. The answer is simple. I don't want to flood people's mailboxes, because if my own WhatsApp chat is anything to go by, I receive like a good couple of hundred messages on a daily basis. So I don't want to be one of those people contributing. But you know that those videos, the new video, just know it's there on our website. Just go onto the website and go to that link at the top, and you'll find the videos there. Okay, so without any more delays, today we're going to add the little text boxes where the user is required to put in the answer. Now, this is a completely new concept of HTML. It's called HTML forms. It's where you are actually putting data inside of a form, and you get different types of forms. I mean, every form that you've ever filled online, whether it's a login form or a registration form, it's an HTML form. So today you're going to get your intro to that. So it's a very exciting place to be right now. Okay, so without delays, let's get down to it. Okay, so we head back to our index.html, and just below the question paragraph, question 1, what was Nelson Mandela's nickname, we're going to put in a new element called an input. So open angle bracket, input, type is equal to text. All right. Now, I just want to put out a disclaimer here. The way we are doing this is not strictly correct. It's a quick and dirty way of making an input form, but this is not the ideal way, especially if you're building much bigger applications that talk to a server on the back end and things. But just bear with me for now. I had to simplify this so that people who haven't coded before will not have any difficulty keeping up. Okay, the next one is ID is equal to, and in double quotes, Q1. Now that ID is very important. It's extremely important. Okay, slash close. The input type doesn't have a close input tag. Next, immediately after that, we're going to put in another paragraph, and we're going to give this paragraph an ID, and the ID is going to be Q1-result. Now, we've never given a paragraph an ID before, but you'll see shortly why we are giving this specific paragraph an ID. But here's the weird part. We're not putting anything inside this paragraph. We're leaving it exactly as is. In other words, blank. Okay, so now let's look at this. We've got a paragraph for question 1. We've got an input for question 1, hence Q1. And we've got an empty paragraph called Q1-result. Now, all the questions in our quiz will follow pretty much the exact same pattern. They'll have the exact same 3 lines. The question, the input box, and the paragraph for the result. Now, let me show you what this empty paragraph does. So back in my browser, what was Nelson Mandela's, not what was the Nelson Mandela. So anyways, so the first paragraph is outputting the question, then you've got the input box, but then where's the third paragraph? Why isn't that empty paragraph showing? Now let me show you why it isn't showing. Now when you put in an answer, right, and then let's say we put in an incorrect answer here and leave that one blank, and when we hit submit, now see what happens. Magically these appear correct, and the X's, now these are that blank paragraph. So that blank paragraph that we're seeing in our HTML is actually provisioning these output messages. Okay, now let's come back to this input here. This is an input and its type is equal to text. In other words, what we've made is an input box, and it's expecting some kind of text to be entered, and obviously it has an ID of Q1. It's as simple as that. It's not at all complicated. Now let's go and refresh this in our browser. Hit the refresh. Whoops, I think I forgot to save it. Save, back, refresh, and there we go. Boom. So we've got our question and we've got the box for the answer, and hidden somewhere here underneath we've got the paragraph for the feedback. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fast forward. In order to save time, I'm just going to copy and paste in the remainder questions and answers, and boom, there we go. All right, question 1, question 2, question 3, question 4. Now notice the names. These are very important. If you want to leave some spaces in between them, let's do that. It makes it much easier to read. So this is what we got now. Question 1 is a paragraph, then it's got an input, its ID is Q1, and then it's got the output paragraph, which is Q1 result. Question 2, Q2 result. Question 3, Q3 result. Can you see that pattern? And finally question 4, and at the end of it we're going to put the submit button. But just before we do that, we're going to do this. We're going to put in the line break tag. Now what is the line break tag? This is a tag to leave an empty line, so it'll make a space between the last question and the input button, or the submit button rather. So there's the button, open angle bracket, button, ID is equal to submit, close tag, and then we type in submit, and then we've got the close tag, and then I'm going to put in a couple more line breaks there and leave it at that. Back in the browser, refresh, there's all my questions there, and there's a submit button. But now there's an issue. What is this? Why did my submit button fall below the footer? Now I'm going to debug this issue before we end off this video. So now the way we do that is to go into the footer and put in this clear both. So let's just check, have I saved? Yes, I've saved, and refresh, and there we go. Now the footer is staying in his place and not overlapping there. Now with this, I'm going to conclude this video, and we'll continue in the next lesson.